the experts about that surge and how we are going to see the water coming up over the seawall in certain places. Well, we're almost seeing it already, and it's only 6:30. I mean, you might say that the estimates were somewhat conservative. We were told that around midnight tonight, the water would first start coming over these seawalls. We are, a good 5 to 6 hours away from that, and it looks to me like it's going to happen a whole lot sooner. If you look over my shoulder over there, you see some of the spoil islands in Biscayne Bay. Those are the famous islands at Cristo, wrapped in pink so beautifully. Those are going to be wrapped in water pretty soon, and you can see the seawall over there on the left. That's North Bay Village, this small island where we're located here in the middle of the North Bay of Biscayne Bay, and you can already see that the water is only about a foot from the top of the seawall. Now, there is no way on God's green earth that that water is not going to be on that green lawn next to that building on the first floor of that apartment unit. No way. I mean, it's absolutely impossible. I mean, unless something incredibly severe happens to the storm. You can already get the sense out here that these seas, this Biscayne Bay, is preparing itself to actually come over the shores, and that's what we've been talking about all along. Now, up here in the North Bay, we're told, at least historically, that the surge is not going to be as powerful as down around South Bay, down by Matheson Hammock. There, the surge can go, if we get to a Category 5, as high as 16 feet. Picture 16 feet. I'm not a tall guy, but even the big guys, I think, would have a hard time staying afloat on that. In this area where we are right now, the surge could come up as high as 8 to 10 feet. Nonetheless, it's certainly enough water to drown in, and it's enough water to have all kinds of problems with. You start to get the feel for it as you look out in Biscayne Bay right now. It's preparing to do just that. You can almost see the wind, Penny, Sally, actually pushing the surf back into this direction. Now, the hurricane is actually right over there as I'm looking at it right now, and it's coming in this way. And as you look at the surf, you actually see the waves coming back in this direction and hitting the seawall just that exact way as it's been described.
You know, Rick, can we take a little bit tighter shot of the water right now? I'd like to see how close those waves are to coming right up to your feet.
Yeah, I think we can. It's hard for me. I don't have a monitor anywhere near me, so I don't know. You can see. You're going to have to tell me what you're...
Ask the photographer to zoom in a little bit more on the water as it's, you know, lapping up towards the top of the... That's it.
You see the water right there? You just saw one of the waves actually come over the seawall and get this area over here wet. It's hard because the camera that I'm facing right now is actually a good 75 yards away from me, so it's hard to get that perspective.
You know, I'm curious, Rick, when you said a storm surge could go up to 16 feet
That's
or
right.
8 to 10 feet, where you are standing right there, that's just out our back door. It sent a cold chill up my spine. Looking toward the building there, does that mean this building would be flooded at 8 to 10 feet?
That is absolutely what it means. And we at Channel 7 would be crazy to think that it may not happen. That's why we've made the contingency plans to perhaps move our facilities to Broward, also to our transmitter, because if present trends continue, that is to say, if everything that we see happening right now does in fact happen, there's a good portion near the eye of the storm, certainly within 35 miles north and south, that's going to hit this area where we are right now. If that were to happen, we would see a surge that would be at least as high as 8 feet, possibly higher in this area. Down around South Bay, the surge could be even higher, perhaps as high as 16 feet.
All right, let's, Jillian Morey's standing by, and let's talk some more about this storm surge. This is what everybody fears the most from hurricanes, and
it's a huge
what could cause us to
of
move
water, as I understand. It's just going to go very high and go over everything.
And cause us to move to higher ground at some point.
Absolutely.
And still broadcast to you, but we'll go to a different spot. Let's turn to Jillian and see what she has to say about this storm surge.
Well, unfortunately, Sally, to add insult to injury, tomorrow morning at about 8:01 is high tide. Now, the worst case scenario that we're looking at, it's 7 to 10 feet above above normal tide level, and we could see even as high as 13 feet of water in the Biscayne Bay area alone. That's what we're up against. The high tide just happens to be at 8:01, and we're looking at a hurricane arriving by daybreak. So this is not even good news, obviously, if there is any good news out of this whole situation. The current statistics show that, again, he is still moving to the west at about 16 miles an hour, backing winds of 150. In fact, let's just pull those right down and go back to the loop, because those right now are outdated. So let's go back to the loop if we can. Thank you. There it is, moving west. He is now 240 miles east of Miami, and take into consideration that the winds ahead of the eye, that means the eye is 240 miles away from us. The winds ahead of it expand 135 miles. So what we are up against tonight, Sally and Penny, is this. Tropical storm winds will start to move in this evening. We're talking 40-mile-an-hour winds. By the pre-dawn hours, hurricane conditions will start to move upon us. And by daybreak, we are looking at the full-fledged hurricane. Now, exactly where? Well, they're forecasting between Dade and Broward or around Dade and Broward if that eye continues to move on that westerly latitude mode. And in fact, it has been doing so. There is really nothing around it other than high pressure. So if there was a deterrent, it would be good at this point. And as someone mentioned earlier, it would have to be a miracle at this point for an upward slope or a downward swoop, because it's just not going to happen. So again, it is now currently 240 miles east of Miami. It is continuing to the west at 16 miles an hour, and the winds associated with is 150 miles an hour. The pictures outside we just saw with Rick are sobering, perhaps even more sobering is what you hear on the phone with Michael Williams, who again is in Nassau. Very, very sobering sounds and sights, that's for sure. And again, we'll be up against the worst later on. And once again, I'll be here live as long as I can be bringing you the current statistics on Hurricane Andrew. Back to you for now.
Thank you, Jillian.
Jillian just mentioned Michael Williams, who is our eyes and ears in Nassau in the Bahamas. We were talking to him a little while ago, and things were really picking up. The winds were really picking up badly there. We heard it. He saw it. Michael, are you with us?
Yes, Penny.
What's happening at this point out your window?
Well, it continues to just get worse by the minute almost, and I know that's overworked, but it literally is, Penny. The skies are just a slate gray. Visibility is down. I'm staring at a old barge, about a 40-foot boat somebody anchored off here, and it looks like it's starting to list a bit and taking on some water. They tried to anchor it offshore. I am certain that by morning it will either be underwater, somewhat offshore, or it will be on the shore. There's no way it's going to hold up to the weather here. And as for the winds, well, everything is starting to whip wildly about outside. I must say, a few moments ago, we got our first flicker of the electricity, our first sign that the electricity here is not going to be on that much longer. The waves are 6 feet, perhaps 6 feet plus. Hopefully in the next few minutes, I'll have the latest estimate on wind speed. In fact, I think I'm getting it right now. I'm told from my photographer, Anthony Pineda, that they're now saying our winds at this moment are at 42 miles per hour, keeping in mind that the storm still has approximately, what, Tony? How much longer to get here?
Okay, Michael,
About
we
8
need...
to 8:30 is when we're going to really be in the heart of it. Then to 11, it will continually get worse, and we've already got winds over 40, and they're just going to get that much greater as we go along.
Okay, Michael, we need to wrap things up for this hour right now. Stay with us as long as you can, and we will get back to you as soon as possible when we come back for our 7 o'clock hour.
Well, as you know, the winds are starting to pick up in South Florida. We are now beginning to feel the effects of this Hurricane Andrew, and it's only going to get worse. All we can say at this point is please get to a shelter while you can at this point. There's going to be a point where the roads are impassable and you can't get to a shelter, and they are filling up, and you need to go. If you haven't gone, go. Here are some that you can, some locations of shelters. You might want to check them out.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.